Good morning, guys. Sorry, it was weird. It is Friday, June 21st, 2024. This Bathrobe business. I got my coffee and I got the news. So I had planned a different video for you guys this morning. I actually really wanted to do this one thing, which I'm not going to go into, but I wasn't able to because the thing I wanted was taken down. So it wasn't anything notorious. It's just that it was something that was up for sale that I thought was relevant to people in business, and I thought that it would be interesting to cover. That post has been taken down. I even thought about using like the Wayback Machine to look it up, but the link just is gone, doesn't exist. So that's unfortunate because I wanted to do a feature on it, but I'm not able to. So instead, I'm doing a different story. So I'm going to talk about a subject, not a story. We're not going to cover any news stories really today. It's going to be entirely about a subject which I think is incredibly relevant for business and incredibly relevant for anybody living within the United States. And that subject is going to be debt and taxes. So one of this, as I was doing research this morning, I looked up CNBC, Bloomberg, all the usual financial news websites like I usually do in the morning, and I came across this story about the Supreme Court rejecting the idea of a wealth tax. Pardon me. So this is a subject that has been in the news for a while, and it's something that even I have been partial to over the last few years, even though I have a pretty powerful libertarian streak in me. Ignore the communist flag in the back. That's more novelty than anything, and cultural. I'm from the former Soviet Union, was born there. Which, by the way, I don't know if you saw that story. Let me make sure you did. So yeah, there you go. Supreme Court rejects bid to preempt wealth tax. So wealth tax isn't something I'm inherently against, but I am really against it. So what I mean by that is this. We have massive wealth inequality in the United States. There's no question about that. A wealth tax could do something to alleviate that, in theory. However, in practice, I know it won't work because our government is not functioning efficiently, and many governments don't function efficiently. So before we go down this yellow brick road of taxes and debt, I do want to reiterate a couple things that we're facing currently. So currently, in 2023, we had tax revenues of about $4.4 trillion. The 2024 federal budget says that we're going to have a deficit of 1.9 trillion. So in other words, our federal budget is above $6 trillion per year. And that doesn't include state taxes. That doesn't include local county taxes. This is just the federal government spending. So the government spends over $6 trillion a year, which, by the way, used to be $4 trillion pre-COVID, but now spends $6 and only brings in about four and a half. So this talk about wealth tax isn't actually about helping individuals, isn't actually about trying to correct inequality. This is about crackheads who just need to find quarters in the seats of a couch in order to pay for their addiction. This is a spending issue. This is nothing more than that. Now, I'm not a Republican. I'm not a conservative. Every time I think I am, I listen to one and I realize, oh yeah, I'm definitely not. I'm definitely more of a libertarian when it comes to taxes. And I think one of the best ways to increase the standard of living for many individuals is to actually cut taxes, specifically for that of the underprivileged. So I think that a lot of this talk about wealth tax is nothing more than the government trying to find new ways of funding itself because it's spending way too much. It has nothing to do with helping the individuals on the lower income brackets, and it's just about the federal government trying to gobble up as much wealth as possible. And the debt crisis is getting out of control because every single month we seem to be adding more and more. So Jamie Dimon has been on the talk on several news channels lately talking about how the U.S. national debt is a crisis, that just in the last 3 months, we have added 2.1 trillion in national debt. That is insane. That is psychotic. And what's amazing to me is despite the fact that COVID is over, despite the fact that we left a 20-year war in Afghanistan and Iraq, no budget cuts have actually resulted in it. We've just maintained the same spending we've had. The federal government hasn't reduced any of its spending by a fraction. And we're still talking about sending more money to Ukraine. We're still talking about sending more money to Israel. We're still sending money to China. We still send money all over the United States. And in order to finance it, we're just deciding to tax people more. Now, a lot of people will say, well, a lot of this inequality is because the rich don't pay their fair share. Okay, that's a fair argument. I'm not saying that's not. But to convince you further that this isn't about actually income inequality. This isn't about actually helping individuals. This is just about financing the debt that we have overspent on. Let's not forget, we already have a wealth tax in place. We have since about 1913. And that wealth tax is called the federal income tax. The federal income tax originally did not tax the poor. The federal income tax was levied in order to prevent wealth inequality. It was only supposed to hit individuals above a certain bracket. So right here, and this was ratified by a federal amendment because there were previous federal income tax during the Civil War and after, I think, in the Garfield administration, but both were rejected because one was a wartime measure and the other one was deemed unconstitutional because the government did not have a right to tax the people. So in other words, they passed an amendment to amend the Constitution to allow them that right. But when this amendment was enacted, it was only supposed to tax the upper 2% of the net income of individuals. So people only making a certain amount of money. But over time, that creeped and that encroached, and now everybody is liable for income tax. So if we really want to have a wealth tax, you actually don't need to pass a new wealth tax. All you need to do is get rid of the income tax for everyone making less than $1 million a year. And all of a sudden, you have drastically helped wealth inequality. All of a sudden, everybody that makes less than $1 million, less than 500,000, less than whatever, you can pick an arbitrary number. You have just increased those people's wealth by 30 to 40%. And that will create so much more profit and so much more money in the hands of people, of individuals, than passing taxes on wealthy individuals. If Elon Musk pays another $10 trillion in taxes, that's not going to help me. That's not going to help you. We both know that money is not going into your pocket. There is no formula for which that money would go into your pocket. But if the federal government said, hey, guess what, Georgie? You and all your family and friends no longer have to pay federal income tax. Well, la-dee-da, my income just went up, didn't it? So, hey, keep taxing Elon Musk. I don't care. Even if it's only 5%, I don't have to pay taxes. So therefore, my wealth grows. I have more money to spend on investments. I have more money to spend on food, which is more expensive than any investment nowadays. I have more money to spend on trips and everything else in between. So to say that we need a wealth tax because there's too much wealth inequality, you can just reinforce the same wealth tax that is supposed to have existed for the last 111 years, but they don't. What they really want to do is just fund their drug habit. And the drug habit is both a left and right issue. And if you think it's not, you're deluding yourself. Republicans do not have your interest in mind because every time a Republican comes to power, nothing changes. Budgets don't get cut. Taxes may get cut by a fraction of a percentage, but no one's going to abolish the federal income tax for individuals under $100,000. They're not even going to touch that. What most people fail to understand is Republicans, Democrats don't really matter. Democrats want to go 100 miles an hour. Republicans want to go 50 miles an hour, but there's no real difference. They're arguing the same points. No one's presenting any revolutionary ideas or any life-changing structure. No one's trying to get rid of taxes on food. No one's trying to get rid of taxes on insurances. Everyone is just sticking with the status quo and gives you a narrow band of information that says you can talk about these subjects, but you can't talk about any other. So next time somebody brings up a wealth income tax, just say, yeah, I truly support it. I think that only the wealthy should pay income tax and everybody else shouldn't, because that's the argument we should be having. Not about should we raise taxes or should we cut taxes. Let's help individuals who are actually at the lower income brackets by nullifying taxes entirely. Now, I know a lot of you will say that, well, a lot of the lower income people don't actually pay federal income tax. You're right, they don't. But the second they start creeping above a certain tax bracket, they do, don't they? Because most of the middle class does actually pay federal income tax. And I know you'll say that's not true according to statistics. No, that's actually true according to individuals you talk to. Because anyone you talk to that is of medium income, that is considered middle class, anyone that owns a home, owns a car, has a steady job, is paying federal income tax. So, and it's a ridiculous statistic to say, oh, they don't. They like to take these statistics and skew them and say 42% of American middle income don't pay taxes. Well, then they're not middle income, are they? Then they're lower income. So if we did actually cut costs for middle income families, we would actually see more progression and more movement up the social ladder, because the rich would have to pay high taxes, but the low wouldn't. And so you would see a climb of social status. You would see a climb and a reduction in wealth inequality. That's the point. So these measures have to be resisted at all cost. And we have to change the narrative. We're no longer going to be talking about, oh, I support the Democrat or I support the Republican. It's about, do I support improving the lives of individuals below certain income brackets? That's what the conversation should be about. That's pretty much it. So today wasn't so much a story, a talk about business. It ended up being more of a talk about politics. But I feel like this is incredibly relevant, especially right now, seeing as how we're in an election cycle. So just remember, don't get persuaded by individuals that want you to talk across a narrow band of issues. You have to expand your band. And when you look at these congressmen, when you look at these senators, when you look at these presidents, ask them the questions of, are they actually going to improve my individual life? Whether somebody else's life gets better or worse doesn't matter. If Elon Musk gets his 56 billion or he doesn't get his 56 billion, it's not going to help you. It's not going to hurt you. It's going to do absolutely nothing to you. If a baseball team in Brazil wins the national championship, it doesn't affect you whatsoever, does it? Well, the same thing applies here. Don't be persuaded by the arguments that say that if Elon Musk gets his money or if Elon Musk doesn't get his money, your life is improved or not improved. This isn't about fairness. This isn't about the idea that you can one day be at that position. This is just simple. What they're talking about, does it affect you or does it not affect you? More than likely it doesn't. So advocate for the issues that will affect you and will improve your life. That's pretty much it. That's my rant for the day. So I will see you guys back here hopefully Monday. I hope you guys have a great Friday, very productive, and I hope you have a great weekend.